A 1,000-mile range electric car sounds like it should be easy, just add a bigger battery. But the moment you try to build it like a normal car, you slam into a chain of limits. Physics, weight, heat, charging time, and price, all at once. The crazy part is, engineers already know how to make an EV go incredibly far, just not in the way most people want. Here's the first twist. Range is not one number. In the real world, cold weather, speed, hills, and even wind can change it a lot, so automakers rely on standardized testing and labels to give you a consistent estimate. In the US, those labels also show energy use in kilowatt hours per 100 miles, which is often more revealing than the headline range number. And the reason 1,000 miles is so hard is simple. Highway miles are expensive miles. The faster you go, the more energy the car has to spend just pushing air out of the way. That's where the story starts to tighten. At speed, aerodynamic drag rises fast. For many real objects, drag force roughly scales with the square of speed, and the power needed to overcome it scales roughly with the cube of speed. That means a small jump in cruising speed can demand a surprisingly big jump in energy. This is why a 1,000-mile range isn't just double a 500-mile car. If you keep the same shape and drive faster, you don't pay double, you can pay a lot more. And that pushes you toward either a super slippery design or a giant battery, or both. Now add the second wall, mass. A heavier car needs more energy to accelerate, and weight changes show up strongly in stop-and-go driving. Researchers have measured how changing vehicle mass changes energy use, and the effect is especially obvious in cycles dominated by acceleration. So the moment you add battery to get more range, you also add weight that can partially cancel the benefit. It's like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom, except the hole gets a little bigger every time you add water. But that's not the strangest part. The battery itself is only the beginning. Let's talk in simple terms. Range is mostly about how many kilowatt hours you can store and how efficiently you spend them. The label's kilowatt hours per 100 miles is basically your spending rate. Lower is better. One of the most efficient long-range EVs on official US ratings is the Lucid Air Grand Touring, listed at 516 miles of total range on fueleconomy.gov, along with an energy use figure on the same page. That's not marketing, it's the official data source used for comparisons. Now suppose you scale that kind of range up toward 1,000 miles. Even if you keep excellent efficiency, you still need a huge jump in stored energy. And stored energy means more cells, more structure, more cooling, more wiring, and more safety systems, not just more batteries. Here's a grounding example from a major US government study. It notes that a 1,022 kilowatt-hour battery at 150 watt-hours per kilogram energy density would weigh close to 15,000 pounds in the context of heavy trucks. That's not a passenger car pack, but it shows how quickly mass explodes when you chase extremely large stored energy. Passenger cars don't need a 1,000 kilowatt-hour pack for 1,000 miles, but the principle still bites. Today's batteries have finite energy per kilogram, and when you scale energy up, weight and volume climb with it. That extra mass forces stronger frames, bigger tires, stronger brakes, and different crash structures, so the vehicle balloons around the pack. And when your pack gets bigger, you also create a new enemy: heat. Heat isn't a side issue, it becomes a design driver, because big batteries and high power create heat loads that the cooling system must handle, and that cooling system adds more mass and complexity. Except one detail refuses to fit. Okay, so make it big, then just charge it fast. That's where the story flips. Most people don't want a 1,000-mile range just to brag. They want it so they can road trip with fewer stops. But if you build a 1,000-mile pack, you also create a charging problem. You have more to refill. Official guidance on charger types shows the scale. Level 1 charging can take 40 to 50 plus hours to reach 80% from empty for a battery electric vehicle, while Level 2 is commonly 4 to 10 hours to reach 80%, and DC fast charging is often 20 minutes to 1 hour to about 80%, depending on vehicle and charger. Those are broad ranges, but they show the reality. Charging time matters. And now here's the part many people learn the hard way. Fast charging isn't a flat speed, it tapers, meaning it slows as the battery fills. A university charging guide explains that charging to 80% instead of 100% is standard practice for fast charging because charging slows as the pack nears capacity, and temperatures can also affect that taper. Why does taper exist? Because batteries have limits on how quickly lithium ions can move and safely store. A U.S. Department of Energy Extreme Fast Charging Gap Assessment warns that charging too fast can cause lithium plating on the anode, raise temperature, and trigger side reactions that reduce life and performance. In plain language, you can shove energy in quickly at low state of charge, but near the top, the battery becomes picky. Push too hard, and you trade speed for damage risk. That's why the last 20% can feel painfully slow on road trips. Heat makes it even harder. An NREL report explains that increases in energy density and charging capability increase heat generation and can require upsizing thermal management systems. It also describes how extreme fast charging can demand far more cooling than normal driving. So a 1,000-mile EV isn't just a big battery, it's also a big thermal system, a big charging curve problem, and a big infrastructure problem. And this is where most concept dreams start collapsing into compromises. But then you might say, hold on, someone already drove an EV way more than 500 miles. True, and that story is fascinating. On July 5, 2025, Guinness World Records listed the longest journey by an electric car on a single charge at 1,205 kilometers, about 749 miles, in Germany, Munich, credited to Umit Sabashi and others. That proves extreme range is possible under specific conditions. Car and Driver's reporting on that record describes a route from St. Moritz, Switzerland to Munich and notes factors that can boost efficiency, like elevation drop and careful driving, while also pointing out the vehicle's official EPA-rated range is far lower than the record distance. And there's another eye-opening example. GM engineers reported an unofficial 1,059.2-mile run in a 2026 Chevy Silverado EV work truck using extreme hypermiling techniques and adjustments, but the reporting frames it as an unusual project, not normal consumer driving. These record drives teach a key lesson. Range is elastic. With low speeds, warm temperatures, careful route choice, and efficiency tricks, an EV can travel much farther than its typical rating. But a record is not a product you can sell to millions for normal driving. So if the physics and charging limits are already tough, why don't companies just sell a super expensive 1,000-mile luxury EV anyway? Because the next wall is brutal: money.
Batteries have gotten cheaper over time, but they're still one of the most expensive parts of an EV. Bloomberg NEF reported that average lithium-ion battery pack prices fell to a record low of $108 per kilowatt-hour in 2025, helped by competition and shifts toward lower-cost chemistries like LFP. Now apply that to a giant pack. Even before you count motors, electronics, chassis, profit margin, warranty risk, and assembly, a much larger pack means a much larger bill. And bigger packs aren't just more cells, they require more robust crash protection, stronger mounting, more cooling, and sometimes stronger charging hardware. Then there's the supply chain reality. Building millions of extra-large packs would increase demand for materials, factories, and grid upgrades. Even if prices fall, scaling something that big across mass-market vehicles is a different challenge than building a few halo cars. And the bigger the pack, the bigger the warranty question becomes. Fast charging, high power, and heat all affect battery aging, so automakers have to design around real customer use, because a battery warranty is not a science experiment. At this point, the 1,000-mile EV starts to look less like a car and more like a rolling battery storage project, and that forces a decision. Do you want maximum miles or the best real-life road trip time? Here's a counterintuitive truth. For long trips, you don't necessarily need 1,000 miles. You need a car that is efficient at speed and can charge quickly from low to mid state of charge, where charging is fastest before the taper hits hard. That's why EV labels and official testing focus on both range and energy consumption. The label's kilowatt-hours per 100 miles is a clue to how quickly you'll burn the battery on the highway and how much you'll need to refill later. And it's why even the best range EV on paper can still feel slow on a trip if the taper is aggressive or if conditions are rough. Cold reduces available capacity and power, and thermal management has to work harder, which is a direct hit to the easy road trip dream. So companies optimize for a balanced package, enough range to be comfortable, plus charging that's fast and predictable, plus a battery that can survive years of real use. That balance is hard, and a 1,000-mile target pushes the trade-offs to extremes. But that's not the end of the story, because the question isn't, can humans ever do it? The real question is what must change for it to make sense. Today's fast-charging research focuses on reducing degradation, managing heat, and improving cell design so batteries can accept high power without damage. NREL describes ongoing work on extreme fast-charge batteries aimed at improving fast-charge capability through better design and modeling. The thermal side is a major limiter. NREL research on extreme fast-charging thermal requirements indicates current BEV cooling systems are often in the 1 to 5 kilowatt range, and meeting extreme fast-charge demands could require much larger cooling capacity and new strategies like immersion or jet impingement. For a mass-market 1,000-mile EV, you'd likely need a combination of higher pack energy density, strong efficiency gains, especially aerodynamics, and charging that stays fast without severe taper, plus a charging network built to support it. That's not impossible, but it's a multi-front breakthrough, not a single invention. And even then, there's a final human factor. Do people actually need it daily? Most driving is far shorter than 1,000 miles, so consumers may prefer lower cost, lighter weight, and faster normal charging over carrying a massive battery everywhere. That's why the industry often treats ultra range as a niche or a record, while focusing on efficiency and charging experience for everyone else. So why can't no one build a 1,000-mile range electric car? Because you can, under special conditions. The real reason you don't see it as a normal, widely sold product is that the moment you try to make it practical, you collide with the highway physics wall, the weight spiral, the charging taper and heat problem, and the cost wall, all at the same time. The smarter question isn't when do we get 1,000 miles, it's how we make EV road trips feel effortless, and the path there is already clear. Better efficiency, better charging curves, better thermal systems, and batteries that stay healthy while doing it.